Guys, if you can't trust that the actual mint is giving you real gold, who can you trust? So there's a story out of Australia that the Perth Mint was selling gold bars to China that were under the gold content that they promised them. So does this mean you should take all the gold you have from the Perth Mint in Australia and just throw it in the trash? No, of course not. Let's take a look at the actual story and see what the details are. Now, this headline is pretty scary, though. Perth Mint sold diluted gold to China, got caught, and tried to cover it up. Usually it's the other way around, right? So they sold doped gold bars. They say the Perth Mint is facing a potential $9 billion recall of gold bars after selling diluted or doped bullion to China and then covering it up, according to a leaked internal report. So they say they uncovered documents charting the West Australia government-owned Mint's decision to begin doping its gold in 2018, and then how it withheld evidence from its largest client in an effort to protect its reputation. And so it's not that they were selling them tungsten-filled gold bars or anything like that, but they did sell them 100 tons of gold sent to the Shanghai Gold Exchange that potentially did not comply with Shanghai's strict purity standards for silver content. Why would there be silver content in gold? If you don't know that there is a little bit of silver and copper in most gold bars and coins because gold is very soft, and so it gives it some hardness. So one Perth Mint insider who asked not to be named as they could face 5 years in jail if their identity is revealed says it is a scandal at the highest levels. So if this is a government mint and you're a government worker and you blow the whistle on the government doing things illegal, the government doesn't go to jail, you go to jail. I don't know if I've ever seen one this big, they say. Last year, the mint sold $20.3 billion in gold. It's the only mint in the world that has a government guarantee. Well, I guess you know what a government guarantee is good for these days. So they say gold doping is a somewhat accepted practice in the industry and is not illegal, but it is high risk for refiners as it lowers the quality of bullion by adding impurities like silver or copper. Trace amounts of metals are permitted, but Perth Mint's plan to keep just within the industry standard of 99.99% purity only left a minuscule margin of error. So they began this doping as a cost-saving measure in 2018, expecting to save $620,000 a year, a tiny fraction of its $20 billion in sales. So to save $620,000, they are trashing their reputation among gold buyers. So it says just months after the doping began, staff identified concerns that silver and copper levels may have exceeded those allowed by the SGE. Despite this, they continued doping the gold. But in September 2021, the Shanghai Exchange alleged 2 bars contained too much silver and were non-compliant with its specs. And so if SGE, which is the biggest exchange client, made public that they had issues with the Mint's bars, the impact of negative public statements on the business could be very significant, you think? And so based on the volumes that they produced, it was possible that up to 100 tons of stock could be recalled from the Shanghai Exchange for replacement. And so if they had to buy that back and recast it, it would cost them about $8.7 billion. Obviously, they would recast it and sell it again, so it's not like they're going to lose $8.7 billion, but they would have to buy it back, transport it back, remelt it back, and sell it, and their reputation would be not so good. And financing this recall, of course, would fall on the Western Australia taxpayers. And so when they assayed the bar, it just failed to meet SGE's strict standards for silver, but was still above the 99.99% purity. So it's just that other 100th of 1% that they are arguing about. So Zero Hedge has an article detailing what the actual dispute is here. The SGE specs demand that the non-gold component, that is the 100th of 1% of the bar, that is not gold, and here they call it 100 parts per million, contains no more than 50 parts per million of silver. So what they're saying is of this 100th of 1% non-gold content, they want the silver piece of this to be 50% of this, or 5 thousandths of a percent or less. And one of the so-called insiders says potentially you get gold buyers in the gold market going, can we trust anything coming out of the Perth Mint, including coins, bullion, anything? The insider says. And this is kind of true because people probably see the headline and they think that the Perth Mint is selling bars that are, filled with fake gold or something like that. It's really a dispute on a really tiny amount here. But the fact that they cover it up and try to threaten the whistleblowers and everything like that does not speak good on buying any gold from the Perth Mint. So this story about the Perth Mint is not like those stories that were coming out when gold was running up around 2011, 2012. Stories like tungsten filled 1 kilo bar found in the UK back in 2012, or gold counterfeiting goes viral, 10 tungsten filled gold bars discovered in Manhattan, 2012. Right, I remember when this story came out, tungsten filled 10-ounce gold bar found in the middle of Manhattan's jewelry district, where I did a video on selling a gold bar in the Diamond District on 47th Street. This is from 2012. And so this is the bar in question, and they ripped it open and there was tungsten inside, apparently. Or stories like this, 83 tons of fake gold bars, gold market rocked by massive China counterfeiting scandal. So in the grand scheme of things, this is kind of a nothing story for the average investor who buys coins, 1 ounce, 10-ounce gold bars, that kind of thing. But at the same time, in the back of your head, it makes you more suspicious and less trusting when even the mint is playing games like this. So even if you're not buying kilo gold bars or anything like that, still buy your gold from a reputable dealer. And if you have the money to buy a machine to actually test this stuff, or your local coin shop, when you're buying stuff from them, have them test it right in front of you. So at least you have some peace of mind that what you're buying and taking home and stashing away is actually real, and you don't find out some years later that there's some funny gold or non-gold in there. Now, if you don't believe that this story is not a big issue for the small investor, and you have some coins or gold bars from the Perth Mint that you think are suspect, I'd be happy to take them off your hands and dispose of them for you. So just contact me and I'll give you my shipping information and just send them over to me and I'll get rid of them for you. Thanks for watching, guys.